Hello and welcome. Today's DAX and FTSE analysis and recap of yesterday. We'll have a quick look. It's the 16th of May 2023. Yesterday on the DAX, we sort of saw a bit of a spike up, which didn't quite make it to the R2. I had orders up here to bring it down to the close gap. Unfortunately, it didn't quite make it, and manual traders could have seen this as quite enough confluence to take a short, and eventually it would have hit the target for about 44 points. I didn't, so no trade there for me. Basically just went down and then kind of retraced up, stayed within its own little limits for the day. That's about it for the DAX. Over to the UK, it did hit the R2 for the FTSE. It came down, didn't quite reach target, and came back up, retraced up to the entry several times. One thing to learn is possibly make a shorter target when there's confluence to this extreme gap here, and perhaps have the extreme gap as the target. I did end up closing the trade today when I woke up and got a bit of a profit there, almost close to 0.5%, so not too bad, not a loss, still a win, which is good. Now back to the DAX, let's have a look at today's trading. We've got triple bands either side of the close gap, which is always good potential to keep things nice and tight. What we're looking for is a rejection off either of these bands, potentially, as we have been seeing a lot of reactions off the S2, that could be an option as well. And then targeting the close gap. So bounces, waiting for it to come low and then coming back up. So buy off these levels or sell off these levels up here. Back to the close. The UK, same deal. We may see a bit more activity around the lower S2 this time. We may not reach the higher R2, so sells from this area. The confluence up top on the triple band, around the 7-800 area, back to the close or even to the other side of the triple band. Ideally, we'd see a push down to the S2, but of course, if the price action tells us we're rejecting off this strong confluence here, it could be an indication to get long. However, just be aware that there is a good chance that it will come down to the S2. And the space between these two sections is about 20 points. So a stop of, say, 30 points might keep you clear even if you do get in up here. But obviously that's your risk reward. You've got to work out, is it better just to wait and leave a trade here? You might get 22 points from there, but you'd obviously be aiming for a bit more from a larger move. Maybe 40 odd points from that S2. One thing to note today in particular is we do have 4 announcements, 3 across the Euro area and 1 into Germany, on economic sentiment and growth rates, so GDP. Now that will be about 2 hours after the open. Sometimes what you see is the market is a bit slow. It waits for those announcements to come up, so we may not see that initial volatility at the open like we often hope for, and that higher volatility might actually come a little bit later, closer to the announcement and beyond. As with these major announcements, we do expect to see bigger volatility, so just be aware that the market could move beyond our expectations, particularly today, because there are more than one major announcements set to come out. A quick look at those announcements. The forecasts on the growth rate, slightly higher quarter on quarter, but a 0.5 drop on the forecast for the year on year. So that's obviously going to put downward pressure on the index markets. Less growth is not a good thing. There is a forecast of a negative 5.3 on the Germany Economic Sentiment Index, and the previous was 4.1, so that's potentially quite a large jump, and that would obviously apply downward pressure. Has that been priced in already? Something to think about. If it does come in at that forecast, traders might be expecting that it'll push down, but the big guys might have already priced that into their trades and their orders, in which case sometimes you do see the market react in the opposite direction to what you expect based on the news, because A, it's been priced in, and B, trading isn't always necessarily a mathematical equation for that exact point in time. Obviously, these economic data announcements do shift the market longer term, but it's not necessarily instant, and that's sometimes why the market will go the opposite direction to what you'd expect on an economic basis. And that's why trading is a challenge when the news announcements are coming out, because it's more about being quick, getting lucky, getting in and out, rather than understanding the macroeconomics of how things work then and there. That's it for me today, guys. Good luck trading. Enjoy.